Ted, next up, we've got Howie Lake, who asks, does Ted think that the $1 Million Man gimmick would get over in today's wrestling? So let's say that they never did it with you back in the day and they brought this gimmick to life. Do you think it would work today?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. The one thing everybody hates is someone who, by virtue of their wealth, bullies people. And that was the whole essence of the $1 Million Man character. Like I'm this aloof guy, and I'm throwing my money around, and it's kind of like, hey, peon, who are you? It's, all that stuff. And, everybody hates that.
Yep.
I don't care if it's better now. If you had a character that was like that, yeah, I think it could be, big deal.
I think so too. It's, like a lot of people nowadays will even say like, that old style of wrestling, it doesn't work anymore. You've got to adapt to the times. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think human psychology never really changed.
Well, here's the deal with me. I'm going to tell you what, for all those wrestling fans out there that are wrestling fans now, what we did in my era has not been duplicated.
No.
And I'm going to tell you something. I can't watch wrestling anymore because the guys get in the ring and it looks like a circus act.
Mm-hmm.
They take these great big bumps, and that's not wrestling. Here's what's missing is that the old school way of teaching our business doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it used to be, it's like when I started in wrestling, I started as a referee. It was like a summer job when I was in college. Instead of, roofing house, I roofed houses the first summer, but then the next couple of summers I was a referee. I couldn't wrestle, but I could be a referee and make money. But you're the third guy in the ring. You learn a lot being that third guy.
Yep.
And the thing about wrestling, a good wrestling match is this: it's like you establish the good guy and the bad guy. You establish the fact that the good guy keeps outsmarting you in whatever way, or you're being out wrestled, and then as a heel, you've got to show that frustration, and then and then the heel starts healing, and he heals and you do the spots where, we call them a hope spot, where the baby face is getting his butt kicked, and then the bad guy goes to, I don't know, do something that's big, and then he misses,
mm-hmm.
or the baby face like a corner shot, and the baby face gets out of the way, and the heel hits the ring post. Well, now they're both down. And now you see this baby face who's been getting his butt kicked. He's starting to come up, and then the other guy's coming up, and now you got the crowd going, "Come on, man, come on, you can do it, you can do it." And maybe he does, he gets a couple shots, but then the heel cuts him off again. Boom. And then you start over. But it's just, it's kind of like, I've done a lot of hour-long matches that went to a draw. I mean, imagine that, have a match with a guy for a whole hour and nobody wins.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But the people were totally and the way I looked at it, it was almost like I called it having 3 20-minute matches. But it was one.
Kind of like creating a story arc, beginning, middle, and end of this story in 3 separate matches. I like that approach. Dad, I'm curious, while we're talking about match structure, ordinarily, the way that matches in professional wrestling are structured are babyface starts out with a shine, heel cuts off, heel gets heat, maybe a couple hope spots in there. We go to the comeback. Babyface is up again. Maybe the heel gets up one more time, and then the babyface prevails in the end. That's generally speaking.
And yeah, depending, like mostly time, most shows today, that's the way it ends.
Mhm.
They're working back in the day when like back when my dad was alive, and uh, they wrestled these towns every week. Everyone, like there was wrestling in Amarillo, Texas every Thursday night, and then in wrestling in Lubbock, Texas every Friday night. We did TV on Saturday, and then we either went to Hereford, Texas, which was a short trip, 30 minutes, or we would go to, oh gosh, Pueblo, Colorado from Amarillo. And then we would wrestle there, and then we would all go to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque was Sunday night. Uh, I think Monday night was Abilene, and Tuesday night was Odessa, and Wednesday night was San Angelo, and Thursday night was Amarillo, and Friday night was Lubbock, and then you start over. Every,
Nobody's.
every week you would, so you have to tell stories, and it's kind of like, if you've got you've got your good guys and your bad guys, your baby faces and your heels. Then at some point, the heel keeps finding a way to basically screw the good guy
Over and over.
over and over. It was just and it finally gets to where or like you get that. Like and the baby face, like say he finally gets up and he's kicking the heel's ass, and the heel just leaves, just walks out,
Yep.
and so the people didn't really get to see what they wanted to see because the heel just leaves.
The babyface goes over, but the fans
And
don't get the
then the
satisfaction.
baby face comes back and he says, "You can't run anymore, pal. We're going to be in a steel cage match. There's nowhere for you to run anymore."
Yep.
You have a lumberjack match. All the other wrestlers on the floor. If a guy gets thrown out, you pick him up and throw him back in. There's so many things you can do, but that's it. But ultimately, is that you have the match, and I would say like when it comes down to like a cage match, then the baby face goes over.
Yes.